All right, what's up, guys? I know it has been a while since I've posted. I've been busy with active duty lifestyle in the Marine Corps, and through the last couple of years, I've gotten a lot of experience in the fleet, and I'm happy to share that with you, as well as some of the big things that you guys were interested in, which was specifically questions about the ROTC program. So I have some more Q&A that I can give you guys on this channel, so be sure to stay tuned and check that out. So today's topic, what are the ways to be competitive for the ROTC scholarship? These are the things that I saw were successful in candidates that applied for this program when they were going into the ROTC program, and they were also things that I think made me successful when I was selected for the scholarship program coming out of high school. All right, the first one I will say is get good at running, right? There's a lot of fitness tests that you're gonna do in the military. Running is like one of the biggest things that if you are not good at, it is extremely evident and obvious that you are in the back of the pack. And going in to be an officer in the military, it just isn't a great look overall. So there were guys that applied for the scholarship when I was in college, and they were awesome at lifting. They were awesome at pull-ups. They were awesome at doing the plank and sit-ups and all the other things. But as soon as they hit the track running, they were one of the last people to finish amongst all the other candidates. And they didn't really improve a whole lot throughout the course of their scholarship. And this person, it took them many years to be selected, right up until the end of their senior year where they were able to be selected for the scholarship. But their running ability was always something that they struggled with. And the instructors see that right away. And it's just like one of the worst visual displays of proficiency, and it says a lot about you when you're always at the back of the pack, right? If you struggle with running, that is completely fine. I was fortunate. I did cross country and track for 8 seasons when I was in high school. If you want to know everything that I know about running that I continuously recommend to people that struggle with running, there's like a running course on my YouTube channel. It's 4 videos long, and it's like the fundamentals you need to get started, and it'll give you workouts that you can do to increase your running time specific to the fitness test that you're going to do in the military. If you're going into the Marine Corps as a Marine ROTC candidate for the selection into the scholarship, you need to get a pull-up bar. Please get a pull-up bar. Getting a pull-up bar and putting it and just mounting it to your door or getting some way to do pull-ups is going to immensely help you raise your overall PFT score. So 20 to 23 pull-ups is extremely competitive for the PFT on. But if you're in the Navy, you need to be doing like hundreds of push-ups, hundreds of sit-ups on a weekly basis to raise that level of fitness so that when you do the fitness test, you can just absolutely knock it out of the park. I will say you do not need to be able to backpack or swim. They do not expect this of candidates that are immediately applying. Now let's talk about academic ways to stand out. Officer recruiters are going to look at your high school GPA when you are applying. They're also going to factor in the difficulty of the major that you're applying for as well. So if you're going into like the Air Force or the Navy, they have a tier list of majors that you have to select from. A lot of these are like biology, chemistry, calculus, science, and mathematic related industries. Also know that the Air Force and the Navy will expect higher academic scores in high school than the Marine Corps and the Army. This is because their majors and their crafts of field and their specialties in the service are very technically related to a college degree of that tone. But also know that also for the SAT and the ACT, you do not need to take both. You just need to take one or the other, and they'll accept this. Not everybody's good at interview questions, right? Some people are just nervous when they interview, and there will be interviews in the ROTC process. The best thing that I found that really helped me get better at articulating those answers is to just practice interview questions. But do it like this. Have a prompt, like an interview question, go through flashcards. Make some flashcards of the interview questions, and then just literally put yourself on record. Record your audio or record your entire, record a video of yourself, kind of like I'm doing right now. And just look at it, ask yourself the interview question, and record your response to it, and listen to how you communicate. It's a really good way because you're talking out loud. You're able to play back how your response went, if you said the word too many times. And you're just able to identify things that you can do to effectively communicate better. I think I did really well on the interview because I think honestly, talking to a camera like I'm doing now, or even just talking to yourself out loud is a lot harder than when you can see and read the body language of somebody who you are responding to. Some of these interview questions are things like, how do you deal with poor communication if you experience it on your team? What types of things would you look for in your leader? Talk about some of your role models. Why are you inspired by them? All right, here's another one. Read books about military leadership and just leadership in general, whether it's sports, whether it's hobbies, or specifically the military itself. Those are great things to do because you learn about what has made past military leaders successful and how you can apply that to your life, or how you can use that knowledge to make yourself better. It is entirely possible to have a very good, clear understanding of what good and bad leadership is before you even go into the military, because you can read, history. These are also some great talking points you can bring up in your interview about books that you've read, like Call Sign Chaos by James Mattis. Or even read, if you're going to the Marine Corps, read MCDP Warfighting. There's also a ton of really good books on like the Commandant's reading list. So if you're not going to the Marine Corps, still look up the Commandant's reading list, and you can find some great books on just military leadership and warfare and ethics and the whole spectrum of military operations. I personally did all the things that I talked about in this video. Like I bought a pull-up bar. I continued to stay proficient with my running. I read books about leadership. I practiced the interview questions. So these are things that I have like personally done that I truly believe contributed to like a reason I got selected for the program. I 100% did not stand out academically at all. I had a 3.2 GPA in high school, and I was absolutely terrible at taking tests. I had the most average SAT scores you could possibly imagine. Back then it was out of 2,400, and I'm pretty sure I was at like 16 for like math, writing, and like the English section. So like I did not stand out academically, but I also like I wasn't applying for the Navy and the Air Force. So like just think about how that balances, right? If you're applying for the Air Force and the Navy, like fitness isn't super high on their priorities. But if you're going to like the Army or the Marine Corps, fitness is going to be a bigger deal, especially leadership in general. So just you really got to consider like the strongest factors that they will be looking at when you apply for it. And like honestly, like select the branch of the military that you most associate with based on what you think your strengths and weaknesses are. You might think to yourself like, oh, like I can't think of any examples of where I persevered because I was in middle school at the time, where I was like so junior, and I was like just starting high school out. But I think if you really take the time and just think about some of the challenges that you've overcome, personal and professional, at school, you might start to think of examples where you did persevere, where you did show personal growth, where you made a decision and it was a good decision and it positively impacted somebody, whether you were helping out a friend. You don't have to apply for ROTC like right in high school, right? I think the selection process is really, really, really competitive. I was not selected for the ROTC scholarship until like a month before I graduated high school, because every time they would have a board of selectees, I was never selected for any single one of them until the last board. I was actually at Utah doing like a campus visit. I had left the ROTC building after talking with the instructors there about what happens if you don't get selected for the scholarship. And a few minutes after I had left, I got an email that said, "You've been selected for the scholarship." And it was actually one of the craziest coincidences in terms of timing that I think I've ever experienced. But just know that like I have so many friends that came through the program freshman year of college or sophomore year or junior year. I have had friends that have gotten selected at every single year of college up until the last semester, where they were picked up and they got the last semester of their tuition paid for. So while financially it can be really hard, going into college and paying tuition, potentially even out of state tuition, without the scholarship, you could still get selected for sophomore, junior, and senior year, and they will cover completely the cost of your tuition. So if you can have like a little bit of a financial like buffer that gives you time to apply for the freshman, in freshman year to apply for the scholarship, that's totally feasible. Don't just give up because you didn't get it in high school. That is exactly what I was planning on doing, was still continuing to apply for it. If you really want to know, like if you want a super in-depth like review, I have a blog literally called rotcgrad.com. You can check it out. There's articles all throughout that really just like show so much more of a deep dive of this information that we talked about. But you can also just stay tuned on this channel. I'll be sure to post more about it. If you got comments, I'll always try to respond. Until then, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video.